Hi, my name is Michael Yunits. I'm town manager.
Hi, I'm Jennifer O'Neill. I am the superintendent for Norton Public Schools.
We're just going to have a conversation today. We wanted to give you a little information about, as you know or may not know, town meeting recently passed a 1% budget increase for the budgets for FY25. And we just wanted to let you know what some of those impacts are and how we got here. One of the things I wanted to emphasize is that our budget, we have the 2.5 increment every year that we're allowed to increase through the tax base. And our 2.5 increment is $1.1 million. If you take mandatory expense increases, health insurance, Bristol County retirement, SEMREC assessment, which is our regional dispatch, the Bristol County Agricultural High School increase, an increase in all our other insurances, that's $837,000 of the $1.1 million that's gone already. So that leaves us with around $300,000 for the entire town and school budget. And when we prepare our budgets, the fixed and shared expenses come off first, and that's health insurance and retirement and all the other insurances. All that comes off, debt. And all that comes off first, all the debt payments also. And what that leaves, about 70% goes to schools and 30% goes to the town. Using $1.2 million in free cash for the budget, that allows us a 1% increase in the budget. On the town side, if you don't mind if I go first.
Please.
What that'll mean, elimination of a public health nurse, elimination of one position in the highway department, at a time when we're adding a bike trail and we're adding sidewalks on 123. And more importantly, in the winter, that's one less truck on the road plowing. Council on Aging van driver was eliminated. At the Council on Aging, and they were looking to add another position that we're not able to add to the budget now. And that is important because not only does the Council on Aging handle services for seniors, the largest growing population in the community, but also it handles services for a lot of needy people, people that are homeless, people that have food insecurity, people that need fuel assistance. So right now there's 2 people that handle all that on a full-time basis. Also, the town clerk's salary was reduced to a part-time position based on the fact of a retirement happening and the person coming back. We're not sure how long that'll last, but that's what we've done for now. And then obviously in the police department, there's been a reduction in overtime in the police department. So that'll result in periodic station closures, longer response times and delay in service, reduced community event support, backlogs in firearms licensing, evidence processing, and court case discovery, and elimination of the availability of part-time resource officer in the schools, and also reduced hours for the school resource officer, because if someone's out, the school resource officer is going to have to come back and fill that position because we're not going to be able to hire someone on overtime. The fire department has a reduction in their overtime budget, which will result in a decrease in the ability to handle multiple calls, which they have about 700 a year. It will result in closing of the Chartley station, increased response time, especially on the west side of town, coming from the one station, decreased training for members, and possible increase in our ISO rating. That's a rating from the insurance industry, so that would affect everyone in town's insurance costs, homeowners insurance. In all departments, there's no leadway for any expense increases right now, and the Finance Committee has reduced their reserve fund. The IT department, her hours were reduced further. She's already part-time. And also our consultant that we use, hours have been reduced. And we also won't be funding the DPW position this year.
That's a lot. Thank you, Mike. So for the schools, a 1% budget is an increase of $347,000 over our current fiscal budget. Unfortunately, this is a significant difference as to what our level services are going to be for the upcoming school year. Our initial request for level services had us at an increase of almost $3.8 million. And I know that sounds like a huge amount to our viewers at home, and it really is. We have seen a huge increase in the services that students need post-pandemic. Many students are coming to school with very limited previous school experiences. And because of the lack of services during COVID and then the time afterwards, they have not received the early intervention services and support that they may have needed. With a 1% budget, we are looking at the elimination of world language at Norton Middle School. Currently, we are able to offer both French and Spanish to our students in grade 8. Previously, this was offered in grades 6 and 7 as well, but that has been previously eliminated. This is also an elimination of 5 academic teachers in grades 6 through 12. In order to make these determinations, we looked at departments where we may have had 8 teachers versus 7 and made those cuts there. For students in grades 6 through 12, especially at the high school, this will mean a reduced number of electives for our students and also larger class sizes for those core classes like English and math. We will also be reducing 2 teachers in the area of music. This will be 1 teacher at Norton High School and 1 teacher at Norton Middle School, eliminating the opportunity for students to take band and chorus during the school day. Those will be moved to after-school activities. We are also, for this upcoming year, reducing art at Norton Middle School. We are losing the district nurse leader, which is actually really scary. I was meeting with the school nurses last week during one of our final days, and we were talking about the increase of medical needs for students. We have a lot of students that have specific medical needs throughout the course of the day, whether they are diabetic and need someone to be monitoring their blood sugar, or they have a tube feed that happens multiple times throughout the course of the day. It's not just children coming from Band-Aids or a bellyache. I remember when I used to teach 2nd grade, it was often those were the things that you would send students to the nurse for. These are really significant medical needs. We're also losing a guidance counselor at Norton High School, as well as 3 interventionist positions at the elementary school. These interventionist positions are teachers who are highly certified in their area of math or reading and help students that are currently struggling with those foundational skills. It gives them an extra dose of support during the school day. Currently at JCS, we have an assistant principal who's also the early childhood coordinator. The person who was in that role this year resigned to move on to another role, so that's a position we will not be backfilling. 2 of our custodians will be eliminated. And as you know, you were talking about the highway department and the DPW. We rely a lot on the highway department during the winter to help us with our plowing of our parking lots. And we'll be down 2 of our own custodians this winter as well, which is going to be a significant challenge depending on what our weather looks like in getting kids and staff into school. We are also losing the dean of students at Norton Middle School, a preschool teacher, 2 instructional coaches, and 2 instructional technology specialists. Finally, at the elementary schools, we are reducing time in the areas of art, STEAM, library, and physical education. So I know that sounds like a lot. It's about 29 positions for the school department overall.
As you know, there's an election coming up on July 13th. And at that time, it's strictly up to the residents to decide whether you'd want an override or not. You'll have the opportunity to vote on a $4 million override, yes or no, or a 6.5, yes or no. And just to re-educate everyone how the process works, if both 4 million and 6.5 million are approved, no matter which one wins by more votes, if they're both approved, the highest amount, the 6.5 million, would be the override. There won't be 10.5 5 million. It would be the highest amount, no matter how many votes it passes by. So that, as I said, is on July 13th, 8 to 5 at the middle school. And ballots should be coming into the town clerk's office this week. And if someone isn't going to be around on July 13th, they can request that a ballot be mailed to them, or they can actually come into the town hall and vote absentee. And the town clerk will be posting all that information on her website. And if 4 million passes, would you be able to add some things
Sure.
back?
So if the town was to pass a $4 million override, it would allow us to bring back a large majority of these positions that we discussed. One of the things that is also a factor is our school bus transportation fees, as well as our athletic fees. Those are currently projected to go up in this 1% budget. As part of the $4 million budget, we would take a look at those fees again. We would be able to bring back some of those classroom teachers that we talked about, especially at the secondary level, or language at Norton Middle School, art at Norton Middle School, as well as the music positions and the interventionists. With $6.5 million, we would be able to bring back almost all of these positions. The only positions that we may not bring back in that scenario would be the guidance counselor at the high school or the preschool teacher at JCS. And those are simply for reasons of enrollment and program needs at this time. And certainly if the $6.5 million override were to pass, that would be bringing our fees back down to our current structure. I think it's important also to note that I will be hosting a series of community forums for anyone in town if they're interested in attending. I am planning to offer the first one next Wednesday, which is June 26th at 6:30. This will be a virtual meeting, and I'll be hosting online through Zoom, and I will be sharing that link with Mr. Yunits, and I'll also share it with some of our other departments, including the library and with Beth Rossi at the Council on Aging. So regardless of your role in town, if you'd like to hop online and ask some questions, I welcome you to do so. And then I will also be hosting 2 coffee hours with the superintendent on July 2nd and July 9th at my own office. And I encourage anyone that has questions or would love clarification about this process to join me.
And on the town side, with a $4 million override, we'd be able to add most of the positions that were cut. We wouldn't be able to fund all the expenses. With $6.5 million, we'd be able to fund those expenses and also the DPW director position. But with the $4 million, the police department would be fully funded at their request. The fire department and the emergency medical department would be funded a little less than their request, about $5,900 in expenses that would be funded under the $6.5 million. Our data processing person, their hours would be added back in. With the $6.5 million, we'd add in the hours for the company that we use to help us with additional work. The highway department would get the position restored with the $4 million, and with 6.5, as I said, there'd be more money for road treatment and also the DPW director. I don't know if I mentioned it, but the public health nurse would be back. The COA would get the van driver back, and also the extra position to help out in the department. So it's up to the residents to decide what services they want and what they can afford. But you will have that opportunity to express which direction you want the town to go in on July 13th.
Mike, can I ask a logistical question? Mm-hmm. Just because I don't know the answer to this. When you go to vote, whether it's an absentee ballot or if you're at the middle school on the 13th, can you vote yes for one override and no for another, or could you vote yes for both or no for both?
Yeah, sure. You could, if you wanted to vote yes for a $4 million override and no for 6.5, you can do that.
But I could also vote yes for both.
Yep. And you could vote no for both. It's
great.
strictly separate questions.
One of the things I'm seeing, and I don't live in the town, is that a lot of communities around us are dealing with the same thing in terms of relying on mutual aid from other communities. It's scary when you think about it. I see that often happening in my own community.
Right. I know that's one of the impacts for the fire department. They said they're gonna have to rely on more mutual aid. I don't know when it becomes an issue. I know it became an issue, for example, with the senior center. When our senior center was closed and everyone was going to neighboring towns for
Yes.
services, they started calling me saying, you've gotta do something. We can't keep handling your... Now, I don't know whether that same thing can happen with fire or not.
It'll be, it's scary to think about because people rely on those services.
And all the information we'll have on our website, and we'll have links to the Division of Local Services site where you can put in the value of your house and see what the impact will be of a 4 million or 6.5 million override.
Great. And as always, I say this every time I have the opportunity to speak to our community. I am always more than happy to answer any questions or to hear your concerns about our budget process. You are more than welcome to reach out to us at the superintendent's office. Our main number is 508-285-0100. I would love to answer any of your questions. Be more than happy to speak with anyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Mike.
All right.